Solana setting up now for some very interesting things happening, not only in the end of January, but I think obviously we'll see February being a huge opportunity. You guys don't want to miss it. We'll break it all down for you. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. All right, a couple things I want to hit on here. Tangem, if you're looking at self-custody wallets, and you really should be, if you're holding any kind of crypto, don't leave it on exchanges. Go ahead and start your journey on self-custody. The best way to do that is just go over to tangem.com. You can start here with their cards. Works in tandem with their app, and it's a super slick app, very easy to use, has kind of an NFC type connection, creates a great experience, and also super secret. All you have to do is click that little Get Tangem link right there, and you can even get in on these new white cards, which are out now. Get the 3-card set. It's the best way to go. Gives you backups upon backups. It's a great way, and you'll love it. You'll thank me later. Make sure and click the link down below. Let's hit on a couple of things. I want to open with the first clip here. This clip is by Chris Dixon. Chris Dixon is from a VC called A16Z. A16Z, one of the biggest VCs in the blockchain sector. The reason this is important, listen to where he's at. Take a look.
$7.6 billion under management. Notable investments include Coinbase, Uniswap, Solana, which is up big now, and OpenSea this week. I think we're all trying to understand what's just happened with the SEC and this Bitcoin ETF and what it means, not just for Bitcoin, but potentially for the Solanas of the world and everything else.
Yeah, I think any institutional acceptance like the ETF is a good thing, is a net positive. That said, I'm very focused on, and our firm is very focused on investing in entrepreneurs building new utilities, new applications that are used by hundreds of millions and eventually billions of people. So less focus on financial instruments. But I think it's a net positive.
That's what I was going to say. You separate the idea of crypto money crypto, versus like utility crypto, if you will.
Yeah. Those services can be games, they can be social networks, they can be financial services. And so the financial part is important, but I think in a lot of ways it's been overplayed in the discussions.
Solana is one of those that actually has a big use case. It's like Ethereum.
Yeah.
A, I'm curious if you think that turns into its own ETF, but B, where you think it really goes.
I mean, I think this technology is inevitable. I think this is the future of the internet. So I think over time you will see greater and greater acceptance of ETFs and other kinds of financial instruments. So, but I think that will take time. And our focus is on investing in early stage entrepreneurs, and we see a lot of innovation.
ETF would never be something you'd look at. It's too far down the road.
For us? No, yeah. We're generally early stage investors.
All right. So Dixon, of course, hits on a few things there. First of all, I want you guys to just sit back and realize that was a discussion on Solana by Andrew Ross Sorkin. This is on CNBC. These are amazing times to be living in, because we are seeing now the reality of what mainstream Wall Street is getting to, and that is the revelation that, oh my gosh, there is a new internet being developed right now. There is this whole layer of blockchain, digital ID, what we will know as decentralized technology in the future. All of that's coming to reality, and it's happening right in front of our eyes, and I think a lot of people are starting to take notice here. So here's another clip real quick on Dixon. He talks about NFTs a little further. Listen in.
One big idea, or seemed like a big idea, was NFTs. You own OpenSea.
Yeah.
And now nobody wants a chimp or a monkey. Maybe you think that they do. What happens to that, this idea of tokenizing art?
Well, I think that's been the sort of death of NFTs has been exaggerated. So last year there were $8.7 billion, 2023, $8.7 billion in sales of NFTs. And remember, this is a technology this was standardized and basically invented in 2020. So it's a very early technology. And I think like a lot of technologies, you go through these kind of boom bust cycles. And the other thing I would say is that a lot of people think about NFTs as sort of avatars. In fact, it's a very expansive technology. So, for example, you can use NFTs. We see a lot of musicians using NFTs to sell digital merchandise to their audiences and create new income streams to supplement streaming, which doesn't pay them very well. We see people using NFTs for new social networks, and the advantage there is in existing social networks, you're locked in, and if you build an audience, you can't leave, and if they change the algorithm, you're stuck with it. With social networks built using NFTs, the users have the power to leave.
Yeah, so I think this is almost a training mechanism that we're going through right now, trying to get mainstream media and also I think finance media in on the game, because what we're dealing with right now is this evolution around NFTs, and Dixon hit it on the head, and that is slightly over-exaggerated in the sense of the death of NFTs. Really, the next future of NFTs are this utility use case that we're going to see all sorts of businesses starting to implement. And some of the businesses that I think are going to start seeing disruption is what we've talked about before on the show, and that is with projects and companies like Uber. Uber, we did this full video on it. It was called Uber Steals Millions, but it was really talking about the opportunity. It's that second video right there. I'm going to circle it around a little bit. But anyway, it was really talking about the opportunity of how drivers, and remember, Uber is a very expansive delivery ecosystem, so there's a lot more to it than just doing ride hailing. But the opportunity here is for drivers going forward. Now, we're going to paint this out for you because there's a lot happening within Solana that will lend back into what I'm getting at. Now, what's happening with Uber right now is, of course, this big lawsuit that they lost. And there's a big, huge movement. This guy right here, Rideshare Professor, he's one of the leaders of the movement. And the movement is really to get, you know, it's much like what you deal with in any time you have a labor kind of dispute. Well, that's kind of what's happening with the Uber drivers. And it's happening in a very big way, and it's happening at an interesting time as well. Because remember, we've talked about Teleport here on the show before. Teleport launched at the Solana Breakpoint, I think it was 2 years ago. They had a big release last year, and there's a lot happening within Teleport that I think is going to start to really set it apart and possibly open up an opportunity for drivers. And if they get going here on this quick enough, they could actually seize the day on this. I want to go to a clip here because this clip will get into kind of why the drivers are so upset and what this might mean as an opportunity for Solana. Listen in.
February the 14th, Valentine's Day, is going to be a big fuck you to all the gig companies because we're going to switch the apps off or we're going to leave them on and just let it surge. 2024 is the year of reckoning. You can see all the channels are turning against Uber and Lyft. One protest once off doesn't work. You got to hit them over and over again. February the 5th, just protest after protest after protest. This has just been secured, rideshareprotests.com, right? We are going to spit fire in 2024.
All right, these guys are upset, as you can see. I mean, and this guy, he's a character. He's kind of the lead carny of them all. But the point is that this is a big movement that could affect some major events. One of the major events that it could affect, of course, is the Super Bowl happening here in the next couple of weeks. Will there be a rideshare surcharge in Las Vegas for Super Bowl? Of course, there's going to be a surcharge. But if these guys get underway with any kind of real situation, this could be a big deal for not only Uber, but it could shed a lot of light on a very negative situation with Uber. And I think that's the thing that may hurt them in the long run. The biggest factor here is it's going to bring the driver community together. And if that happens and we see some sort of opportunity with decentralized ride sharing take hold, we could see something take off pretty quickly. Remember, it's very slowly and then all at once. So pay attention, pay attention. Something's brewing. Here's a clip right here talking about the Super Bowl protests that are coming.
And while the demand during the Super Bowl may be high for rideshare drivers, many are fed up at the low wages they feel they're making, which they say is barely enough to get by.
Now what we're noticing is that their take is anywhere between 55 to 70%. They're no longer transparent as to how much the rider pays for the trip.
So I get charged by Uber a random couple $200, $300 amount per week.
Uber issuing this statement to 8 News Now, in which they say, quote,
Uber's true take was around 20% of total rider fares last quarter, also stating that they have increased their transparency with their drivers by providing weekly
also bullshit
to make.
They're not happy. They're not happy out there. Now, so when you don't have happy drivers and you have a potential, situation brewing, you're going to have to create some sort of incentive to be able to, one, keep those drivers rolling, get a lot of the new drivers that don't really know what's happening, and unfortunately take advantage of them. And I think that's what they've been brewing here. They've launched Uber tokens. Don't get up in a roar. It's not a blockchain token. Listen in.
These executives are book smart. They've studied. We are street smart. We figure their shit out in hours, days, weeks. They figured it out. We have to come up with some new bullshit. Here they introduce Uber tokens. Uber tokens? One Uber Pro token for every trip you take. Earn more tokens per trip by driving during extra point hours. They're admitting here they have a big problem and they think they are now going to solve that problem that they created with casino tokens. you're making a big, big mistake. We figure it out faster than your fucking engineers can write it.
All right, so there's some things here though that could create an opportunity. And if we were playing their cards right, I mean, could they possibly actually circumvent this and create something that would go in a direction? I doubt that it would be, just because of the decentralized nature of where blockchain is going. If you look at what Teleport is doing and kind of connection point here, the key is having the right drivers at the right place, and obviously having the function of digital ID is going to be a big factor here for just security, all those kind of things that happen within this. But also, it's the ultimate multiple streams of revenue that a driver could be earning other than just doing general. And they could be doing that today as well. And that is, of course, Hivemapper. We've talked to them, had Ariel on the show, their CEO, a couple of times. And we've talked about Hivemapper and its potential. I want to go to a clip here around Hivemapper, just so you can kind of get a framework. Listen in.
So Hivemapper is building a global map. And the way that we're doing that is quite simple. So you buy this dash cam, you install the dash cam on your car.
It is collecting all of this imagery, all this location data. And as we're mapping here, the Solana blockchain is supporting our ability to ensure that this is being done correctly and being done in a way that is equitable to everybody who's participated.
We reward you in our Honey token. It's a reward mechanism saying, like, look, you put in this effort, right, to build this map, to contribute and collect this data. Here's your reward for it. And then we have these Map AI trainers. And so the Map AI trainers, they can be sitting anywhere in the world behind a computer, and they're training the AI. And by training it, we're actually improving it. And those people, by the way, are also rewarded in Honey tokens.
All right, so as you can see, a lot happening there with Hivemapper. Here's their dash cam. We've actually tested one of these. We have guys in our studio that have these and use it every day. But the point is they now are sold out of these. Orders placed today are July of this year. I mean, we're talking 6-7 months down. That's a problem because it's creating, one, a secondary market for the devices. You can kind of see here what's happening. And this, of course, is Ariel Seidman. He's the CEO right there. But the point is that there's demand. There's demand for this. We're going to see more advanced demand in this, especially as more people start to realize that this is an opportunity to earn rewards by doing the things that they do every day, which is driving. Now, there's a lot of other factors that play into this because it gets into the whole idea around what they're using with AI. We just showed a little bit of that clip. But additionally within this is their new app that is out. So if you go over to their website, you can kind of learn a little bit more about this, get rewarded for road reporting. This is kind of like the Waze. Think of it as the Waze for Hivemapper, to where the app itself, it's not mapping, but the app itself is going to reward you for reporting incidents and issues. So that itself is a huge advancement for a Hivemapper and I think for the future of what they're doing. But it's going to start opening up more innovation around what Hivemapper is doing. Remember, all this stuff is riding on Solana. We're going to get further into the detail of this because this is really starting to pan out into a big movement that could be happening. Something's going on February 21st. We'll be watching that very closely. I don't know what it is yet, but we are anticipating some pretty big moves here with that. So here's the Jup CEO, Jupiter Exchange, talking about, and remember, all these transactions have to go through an exchange if you're on Solana and you're using these kind of tool sets out there. But what's interesting is he's talking about, we should just show them how to do this. Listen in.
Every single step of the way, you prove your loyalty to the system. And it's very important everyone understands that, right? Because every closed system demands loyalty.
Yes.
Right? So what's actually really, really important here is the migration. What people don't understand is that that's their job. You do not criticize them. What you do? You stand up for yourself. You stand up for yourself, right? You don't criticize them, right? You show the world what's better. And that's what you do, Jupiter.
Through example.
True example.
All right, so I think you can only go so far in showing through example. You have to take market share is really what it boils down to. You start taking market share, people pay attention, and I think that's what's going to most likely happen. Speaking of that, right now, final 73 hours of Jupiary. I'll try my best to finish the mad sprint. Couple of things happening. One key thing here is Jupiter will come after Jupiary. So be ready for that. Most likely it's going to be early February for this to happen. So on that front, a lot happening. Most likely, well, this is going to be the biggest airdrop in Solana's history. So that in itself is a pretty big deal for sure. Now, how does this all connect to kind of this next generation? And just by the way, if you guys, hopefully you guys got the wind drop and you went out and claimed it, if you've been using your Solana app or Phantom, then most likely you were able to get this. This, of course, has already been burned now, so this particular airdrop is done. But the good thing is that it was free money. It was free money for pretty much everybody out there that went and claimed those tokens. If you've been using your Solana app at all, you've been using Jupiter's exchange. So that is a big factor here. And you can kind of see a little bit of the movement here on when likelihood is this one could go and continue to go up. We'll take a look at that maybe a little bit later. But again, these are other Solana apps going to the next level for sure. All right, so I want to show one other thing here, and that is this right here. Let me kind of zoom in on that. Phantom flipped Coinbase's wallet in App Store downloads. So we are seeing a major movement here in not only in DeFi, but I think people starting to realize what the platform is to be able to get the most activity for airdrops, the functionality with swaps, and what we'll see in terms of potential projects are going to be continuing to be launched within that. Now, some of the projects that are being launched, there's one project out there that I'm actually an advisor on. It's called Devour. Devour is a food ordering app that's connected to the blockchain that's tied to gaming rewards. So it's an interesting project. The reason that I like this, and one of the reasons I'm involved with these guys, is how they're starting to provide utility to the restaurant industry. And this is a big factor because I think the restaurant industry, the hospitality industry will be a big, big winner going forward. Here's a company called WowBow. It's one of the, I'll call it one of the rising stars in a sector called fast casual. You'll notice something down here on the right-hand side right there is that you can buy this available in Walmart right now. The team over there has put together a great CPG program. And then they have a token and a collectible. These are their collectible bows right here, which of course is Hot Buns Club. I love that one. And so shout out to Jeff and all his team over there. They've done a really good job. But they're starting to connect the dots. That's the point. They're connecting the dots of how to understand, one, digital collectibles, rewards, NFTs, and blockchain. These are all utility-based platforms that can start to play into maybe the future of food delivery. Imagine if a restaurant could airdrop drivers. Imagine if a restaurant could start to reward patrons with airdrops. All of this starts to function in a new dynamic around not only the future of the web, but the future of how marketing and loyalty is going to be done. So one thing I talk about a lot when it comes to the retail sector. All right, so I want to jump to a podcast clip that I do for another business I run that is in the food sector. And the reason it's important is because Devour is really focused on that sector. But I want you guys to listen in on this podcast where Shelly, the Devour CEO, talks a little bit more how Saga, the Solana phone, is connected to maybe the future of how this might work. Listen in.
Devour, we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary. And in those 2 years, we built a platform, Devour Go, to put food ordering in places others are not. Gaming, esports, entertainment, and metaverse. So Jeff and WowBow, they released a digital token for their loyalty program, their WowBows. We really look forward to getting our Olo integration so that we can get more of the WowBow locations onto the platform. We are able to recognize that WowBow token in a way that other platforms are not. We've been beta testing and testing a lot of the things that we've built, but those tools are built for not Devour to be the star, but for gaming developers, restaurant brands, the others, what we're powering.
Because when this occurred, it's called the Solana Saga. All the creators of all these dApps started dropping in what they call airdrops. Now, I want you to think about this. If you're a restaurant brand right now, imagine if you had partners that were airdropping value, including yourself, to your customers. To me, I look at that and I'm like, every mobile device maker in the world has to be shaking in their boots right now. You just created a loyalty card that is a phone.
Of again, what we've built is that ability then to take that airdrop and do something with that at transaction level when ordering food, or turn that into a perk, or unlock a secret menu item that no one else has access to.
It was a meme token called Bonk. And it sounds silly, guys, but you think about the marketing efforts that you do as a restaurant, okay? The things you do as a restaurant brand are pretty silly. Let's just go to Chipotle, Burrito. All right, come on. All right. That's one of their best campaigns yet. And could you imagine getting some sort of benefit from Chipotle on a Saga phone that would drop rewards right into my phone just because I've got a device?
We're right place, right time, and we built the right technology to be able to leverage all these types of things.
All right, so that was, it was a podcast I do talking about technology that is shifting into retails. And obviously the food service space is a big part of that. And I think we're going to see more of this, especially as we see devices like the Saga start to really unfold the opportunity. And remember, we've just lined up a whole slew of functionality within Solana. When you think about drivers, when you think about food delivery, you look at the opportunity for mapping various sorts of ways that they can earn rewards, earn airdrops. All of this applies to both sides of the plate. That's what decentralization does for you. And I think that's the power, if you go all the way back to the Chris Dixon quote, that is happening now is the utility use case is starting to be unveiled. And I think this is a very interesting year. You guys don't want to miss this one. 2024 is going to definitely make a difference in blockchain going forward. All right, if you guys are listening in, make sure and jump into our Diamond Circle. It's one of the best places to get additional content. And of course, we have podcasts over there, do a lot of other research, etc. And of course, if you want to catch me out there on X, it's @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.